England and cricket, the national game. But we are more concerned with an older and truly international game, a game that had its origins way back in history. It was amidst the beautiful surroundings of Hampton Court Palace that King Henry VIII began to take an interest in tennis. In a primitive form, tennis had long been played in the courtyards of the inns throughout the country. But now the king had ordered his architects to find a site on which to build a court in the grounds of his palace, so that he might himself learn to play. Mistaken by many from its outward appearance to be merely a greenhouse for the gardens, a glimpse inside shows us the original tennis court, which is still regularly played upon. Although with its rules and strange markings, it bears little resemblance to the game as we know it today. Lawn tennis, so called to distinguish it from that earlier form, nowadays has become an essential part of the physical recreation program of most schools. Attention is given not only to the importance of constant practice, but also to the instilling of a correct technique through proper instruction from an experienced coach. One is, of course, never too young to start learning, and enthusiasm is never lacking. Yes, tennis is a game in the truest sense, and while for most it will remain but a pleasant and healthy recreation that in later years will prove a useful social asset, for those that develop a skill that shows particular promise, together with the very rare stamina required for a strenuous match against a strong opponent, for those will come the great ambition to play, and perhaps one day to win, at Wimbledon. A familiar sight to many is the ivy-covered tower that stands sentinel-like over the courts, but few realize its purpose. It is a water tower with a pumping station in its base to guard the prized lawns of the All England Club against the possibility of drought. In an emergency, water is drawn through a pipeline that has been laid to a nearby lake. This runs under an adjoining golf course, an open space that helps give Wimbledon that countrified setting, although it is only a few miles from the heart of London. But it's not so countrified that the hard work of keeping those beautiful lawns up to perfection can be overlooked, and the ground staff is kept fully occupied under the watchful eye of Edward Fuller, head groundsman for over 15 years, who details their work for the day. But one of them has already been at it since early morn. Weeds? At Wimbledon? Yes, but not on the courts. These are the nursery lawns, which are weeded and brought to perfection so that parts can be taken for the re-turfing of sections of the court whenever required. But weeds are not the only enemies to be found. Little mounds of earth are thrown up by ants every morning, and just as regularly they are carefully swept away again. And so the work continues throughout the year, not only to keep the courts in good condition during the season, for this is a club with playing members just like any other, but in particular to ensure that they reach their prime for the championships. And these are drawing near. The head groundsman shows an early visitor the centre court and must rightly be proud of the faultless carpet of living green. But the visitor, no doubt, is more concerned at the idea of having to play in such awe-inspiring surroundings. As Wimbledon fortnight draws near, players from all over the world converge on London. From Mexico to Norway, from the Netherlands to New Zealand, come the 292 competitors who have been accepted or who have qualified to take part in the championships. At the ports, stations and airfields are those ready to welcome the overseas players, to show them to their hotels, and to do everything possible to ease the inevitable strain of waiting for the coming event. At Queen's Club, the week preceding Wimbledon, a number of the players take part in the London Championships. Here, both public and competitors alike can get a foretaste of the form of some of the leading players, as for example, Hoad, one of the favourites for the men's singles title, here playing against fellow countryman Rex Hartwig. While play continues at Queen's, the tempo of preparations at Wimbledon begins to quicken. The items of court equipment will be taken by the spectators for granted, yet there would be no championships without them, and so equipment in perfect condition is supplied every year for the 16 courts, and all must be ready and in working order for the opening day. Traffic control to deal with the sudden enormous influx of visitors needs careful planning, while the traffic already arriving has also been the result of careful thought. It's not only the courts that will be protected from drought. During these preparations, all manner of unaccustomed figures are encountered in the grounds. Hey, where's your racket? Watched by other players, and with only a few days to go, the competitors are allowed to practice on the courts they will be using. While practice continues, the last preparations are made as a sea of canvas goes up round the courts. Everywhere a touch of paint ensures that Wimbledon shall be judged at its best. The Joint Championship Committee complete their last full meeting, and having made all the vital policy decisions, are now confident that the event will go smoothly and with the apparent ease that belies a masterpiece of organization. The whole country will be watching, the whole world listening, and so nothing must go wrong. It's for this reason that the ball boys from Dr. Bernardo's receive a special training in their duties. Their unobtrusive efficiency, important to both players and spectators, is the result of weeks of instruction and practice. On the eve of the championships, the bunting is arranged and the centre court has its last rolling. It's not laziness that makes so many of the ground staff all push the roller. It's safety in numbers as a precaution against toes and heels being dug into the immaculate surface. Then, with vapour trails in the sky seeming to set the pattern, the courts are marked out. The umpire's microphone is wired and tested. And last of all, the final touches that add so much to Wimbledon's attraction. Eventually, all is ready. The scene is set. On the morrow, the nets will go up, and the contestants will join battle in the greatest of all tennis tournaments. In the early morning, the colours of the All England Club and the Lawn Tennis Association herald the first day of Wimbledon. Although 6 hours before the gates will be opened, the head of the queue has already formed, soon to be joined by enthusiasts from far and wide. They all flock to Wimbledon, where fashion is news, and sometimes news makes the fashion. And it's obvious that the event will be well covered. Inside the grounds, the postman brings the last appeals for seats, though none are left, as they could well have been sold 3 times over. The programs arrive at the last minute. They have been printed overnight and carry the results of the draw that decides the order of play. Last-minute instructions, though many are familiar with the job, are given to those who will ensure the smooth direction of the crowds. But they have notices to help them. They might have known I couldn't read, and after queuing all night. The notices are a feature indicating the brilliant organization that must cope with a sudden inrush of up to 30,000 people into a comparatively small area. However, if any are confused, there to help as always are members of the WVS, the St. John's Ambulance Brigade, and the men of the British Legion who, just before the gates are opened, go to take up their positions. 12 o'clock. The signal is given to open the gates. The 70th Wimbledon has begun, and the rush for the best places is on. Car parks are full and the grounds rapidly filling. The arrival of the players creates intense interest, while the first glimpse of the crowd causes players to experience the inevitable nervousness as 2 o'clock and the start of play approaches. The time has come, and on walks the holder of the men's singles title, Seixas. It is the holder who traditionally plays the first match on the centre court. With him is the player who has had the perhaps unfortunate honour of having drawn so formidable an opponent. So too on the outer courts.
Ready? Right. Right. Right.
The first points have been played and Wimbledon is fully underway. Alongside the centre court, on number 1 court, Billy Knight, the British junior champion, showed his fine fighting spirit against the stronger Ulrich of Denmark, who won after 5 grueling sets. Meanwhile, on the centre court, Seixas had summarily dismissed his first challenger. And so the first week of Wimbledon continued, giving us singles and doubles in ideal surroundings, tennis of the highest order, now less of a game than a highly skilled art. On the second day on number 1 court, an exciting match resulted in the Canadian Davis Cup pair, Bedard and Main, being beaten by 2 promising young Australians, barely 18 years old, Cooper and Emerson. One of the attractions of the first week of Wimbledon is that on the outer courts you can have free seats right alongside and watch tennis played by the leading champions. Tennis every bit as good as that they would be playing later on the centre court. For to lose one match now is to lose altogether. And so we must sympathise with those who came up against the all but invincible partnership of last year's champion and this year's favourite, Seixas and Trebert. The president of the All England Club, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent, here with Princess Alexandra, every year is a frequent visitor to the centre court, where Rosewall and Hoad overcame strong opposition for 5 sets from the Belgians Brichon and Washer. It was Brichon who later tried to repeat his Davis Cup success against Seixas. However, Seixas was to have his revenge, though not until after being sorely troubled by Jacques Brichon's determined efforts to break his attack. It was the other Belgian, Philippe Washer, who gave Wimbledon one of its early surprises when he brought about the first defeat of a seeded player by beating American Art Larson. After losing the first set, he went on to win 3 successive sets in a strenuous 2.5 hours struggle. The strain on the players showed clearly as they left the court. But it was the spectators who shared the strain in the excitement of the match between Britain's 18-year-old schoolboy Bob Wilson and the formidable Tony Trebert. Trebert seemed unable to break through Wilson's service, and the first set had already reached 7-all. When this was carried on to 8-all, excitement reached its peak. But then Trebert quietly brought full pressure to bear to win this and the 2 following sets. It was a fine match in which Wilson had proved himself a great trier against severe odds. Trebert came up against another trier in Sven Davidsson of Sweden. This was the first match between 2 seeded players and ran the full 5 sets. After they were 1 set all, Davidsson lost a love set to Trebert, but made a good recovery by taking the next set 7-9 before finally losing the match. Thus, play continued throughout the first week. The players from their balcony watched the matches in progress, and the public from the oldest, who comes year after year, to the youngest on his first visit, were able to admire tennis that is an inspiring example by its excellence. All had had the opportunity of seeing past champions in action, such as Budge Patty of the United States, Bob Falkenberg of Brazil, and of course that famous Wimbledon personality, Jean Barota of France, twice singles champion, no less than 18 and 20 years ago. Yes, the international flavor of the tennis was well in evidence, and included the first lady ever to enter from Japan. But Wimbledon is not only tennis. From the minute you enter the grounds, you are not merely a spectator, but part of Wimbledon itself, rubbing shoulders with the players and famous personalities from all walks of life. Yes, that's Fred Perry, 3 times Wimbledon champion. Many come to look at the tennis. Others come just to look around, to see if there isn't a friend or acquaintance nearby. Here one seems to meet everyone, although they sometimes take a little finding. Then there are the fashions. This is not just a sports meeting. It is an occasion, and everyone dresses up accordingly. We can be sure that a new hat has been bought specially. And if tastes are varied, so are the comments. Perhaps more than anything, Wimbledon is like some vast garden party. The members have their own special enclosure, but the public can go to the tea lawn where they are equally well looked after. Mind you, some people are pretty good at looking after themselves. And so we have the 2 aspects of Wimbledon. One provided by the spectators, the other by the players. And what a wonderful combination it makes. What typical yet unforgettable impressions we shall take away with us as the first week draws to a close. In recent years, on the middle Sunday, the Lawn Tennis Association has invited the visiting players to an outing. This time it was to relax on the Thames near Marlow at the Central Council of Physical Recreation's beautiful Bisham Abbey. An international conference without an agenda for once. Mervyn Rose wasn't really convinced when told that the Eskimos do this sort of thing in the open sea. Maybe they didn't have as good a lunch. Who wants to be an Eskimo anyhow? Lots of them, it seems. Well, no one fell in, but the threatening weather drove the guests in search of a warmer distraction. And it certainly seems, from the look of things, that they've quickly been able to find one, with the aid of a little string pulling. But now to relax. Tomorrow will bring a renewal of that intense concentration demanded from those still in the tournament. Early in the morning of the first day of the second week, the queues for admission are longer than ever. Many have been there all night. Yet despite the weather forecast and gathering clouds, the crowds still pour in to join the end of the queue. Nothing will keep them away, and soon an unbroken line almost stretches around the entire ground. Inside, the weather prospects are discussed, and who better knows the meaning of rain-stopped play than the cricketing Bedser twins? Here talking to Harry Hoffman, Australian tennis team manager. When rain fell in earnest, there was nothing to do but protect the courts. Yet there was only one day in which no play was possible throughout the entire fortnight. However, the usual blazing sunshine was conspicuous by its absence during the second week. Yet it kept no one away. The fashions had become more protective, but many still contrived to be smart, and a resting ensemble were eagerly hunted by the press. The day of the finals arrived, and few would be immune to the infectious atmosphere of subdued excitement that prevailed. There seemed to be little doubt as to the outcome of the finals of the ladies' singles which were now to be played. Connolly, the referee, whose difficult task was nearly over, now became a spectator. Although Louise Bruff had 3 times previously won the title, the mere reputation of Maureen Connolly's calm self-assurance when winning last year and the year before was enough to unnerve any opponent. It was soon obvious that the gusty wind blowing across the court was affecting both players. However, it was not long before little Mo settled down to her usual ruthless game, until she had easily won the first set 6-2. But Miss Bruff made a noble attempt to recover the initiative, and when she had brought the second set to 5-2 in her favour, the next game led her to within 2 points of winning the set. But Miss Connolly's ability to keep a cool head in a crisis won her those 2 points, and the game, and every game from then on, continuously attacking until she was once more champion. the Duchess of Kent presents the trophy so deservedly won for the third time in succession. After enjoying the flowing movement of the ladies' singles final, we were now to witness the incredible agility and pace of the men's doubles. Trebert and Seixas were expected to prove too strong for Hartwig and Rose, but their play was erratic, and the Australians won 3 of the 4 sets at 6-4, losing only the third at 3-6. Her Royal Highness Princess Margaret arrived to witness what is always the exciting climax to the championships, the final of the men's singles. Drobný, a few minutes before the match, seemed optimistic as he went to change. A short while later, King Gustav of Sweden, after his state visit to London, added to Wimbledon's long list of royal visitors. Meanwhile, Drobný and Rosewall had already begun what was to be a thrillingly close final. In the back of Rosewall's mind must have been the recollection of his tremendous win over Trebert in the semi-finals, when he gained 25 of the 42 games to win 3-2 with some really brilliant volleying at the net. The other Australian, Hoad, whom many fancied for the title, met his fate in the 5th round. Though he played splendidly, he was dogged by bad luck, and Drobný made unexpectedly short work of the match in 3 straight sets. Drobný, who met former champion Budge Patty in the semi-finals, seemed to have regained his old form, which had so often brought him within reach of the title. It looked as though his luck might again desert him when, after winning the first 2 sets, Patty took the third. However, he recovered to win the 4th at 9-7. Thus it was that he came to face Rosewall in what must surely always be his most memorable match. It was clear early in the first set that each was at the top of his form with equal determination and confidence. With Rosewall serving aces that left Drobný helpless, he brought the score to 11-10 in the first set, only to miss the set point as Drobný fought back with chalk-raising accuracy to make it 11-all. There followed 2 short sets, Rosewall winning the first at 6-4, but going down under Drobny's attack to lose the third at 6-2. The desperate final set saw Drobný leading 5-3 with Rosewall serving, when a well-placed volley made it 30-all. Rosewall retaliated from the baseline, driving Drobný back from the net with an accurate lob, 40-30. The crisis was not yet over, but Rosewall, with his usual brilliance at the net, won the game and the next to bring the score to 5-all. Then Rosewall gained the lead at 6-5 and 7-6 to within 2 points of winning the set, only to have Drobný draw level each time until the following game when he drew ahead to 8-7. Now came the final game. The tense atmosphere seemed to leave Drobný quite unruffled, yet this game can make him champion. Love. 15-all. 15-30. What a time for a double fault. A fantastic return by Rosewall. 15-40. He believes in attack. Rosewall gets his lob back with interest. Now he's giving all he's got. But it's deuce. An ace! If ever a man needed one, advantage Drobný. This could be it. As he received the cup that had eluded him for so long, Drobný could still hear the tremendous ovation that greeted his well-earned victory. The exiled Czech with Egyptian nationality had achieved the greatest ambition of his life, while the gallant loser had played magnificent tennis. And though too shy to come into the picture, he would perhaps one day himself be receiving that trophy. Such were the dramatic scenes of Wimbledon 1954, and such is the excitement of every Wimbledon. The tumult and the shouting dies, the captains and the kings depart. This year's championships are over, or is it not rather that next year's championships have begun? For the whole cycle of preparations must begin again at once, in order to be ready on time for yet another colourful Wimbledon.